Hello, everyone. Sorry, my computer glitched there for a second. But welcome to the Sleeping Undead book club discussion for the month of April. We've read and we are about to discuss The Last Room on the Left by Leah Konen. And I have my very lovely co-host for this month. Thank you so much for, agreeing to read this book and joining me for sprints and, for tonight. We'll do some introductions, but everyone else in the chat, let us know what you rated the book. We're going to save our ratings for the very end. Yvette, would you like to introduce you and your very social cat?
Yeah. He's still grumpy next to me, but hi, everybody. My name's Yvette. I'm over on Instagram as Leavers Adores. And my cat may or may not join me on my lap, but her name's Cleo.
Hi, I'm Sam at A Spark of Sam on all social media. Well, most social media. Yeah, my cat is not allowed in this room.
She's still cute.
I have too many breakables.
Yeah, that's funny. If anyone is here and they don't know me, my name is Jessie. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my book club. I have 3 dogs. I don't allow them in here, especially while I'm live, because they are just like a bunch of crackheads when they're all together in here. So, but welcome to the live show. Super excited. We'll start with the questions, but I'm just going to go through the the chat. Excuse me. I'm going to try to get through these kind of quickly, and then we'll get started. But any of the questions I ask, make sure you comment your answers down below. I would love to know your answers. I'm on page 9, and I'm not sure if I want to continue. Well, if you want to know what you'll be missing, we'll be happy to spoil that for you. Let's see. Gwen is here. Excited for the discussion. Rated the book 3 stars. Nice. Hello. How's it going? Sadly rated a 2.5. I mean, it could be worse. It could be a 2 or a 1 or a DNF. So 2.5 is not bad. Danny's here. Hello. Stopping by to say hi. Welcome. Angel gave it 3 stars. Awesome. As per usual, me and Angel on the same page. I never connected that together, but I love that y'all are on the same page there. Angel also agrees. Helen, hello, 3 stars, but I feel like it was generous. Ooh, juicy. Okay. Sandra, hello. Welcome in. Why is the chat not? What is happening? No, I don't want to block Sandra. Stop it. Okay, hopefully I didn't block you. I don't know why.
How dare you?
Brandon is here. Hello. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to finish this. Tax season is killing me. Almost done, though. I wanted to stop by and give support and drop a heart. I'll be watching back this later. Oh, so you're not going to be stirring the pot, Brandon? Oh, it's not a book discussion without you stirring the pot. Oh, I'm just kidding. Lena is here. Hello. Let's see. More hellos. Hi, everyone. Rated the book 3 stars. Okay. I'm seeing like a common trend with the ratings. 3-star feeling at the moment. Okay. Let's see. 3.5. I see Sandra commented something. Okay. I was like, I don't see it in the chat, but I see it on the screen. Okay. I was like, maybe I did block her.
Oh, okay.
Like unintentionally.
It looks blank.
It does look blank. Okay. I see it now. Am I next on the chopping block? Please don't. No, I didn't mean to. I promise. I feel like this book had some issues, but I still enjoyed every crazy step. A generous 4-star. Okay, and you stand by it. I love that. Ooh, Lena gave it 4 stars. I'm shooketh to my core.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to kind of start. I'm going to put the chat on the screen real quick. So my first question, I don't really care like who goes first. We don't have to really go in an order. Maggie gave it 4 stars. That's awesome. My first question is, have you ever read anything else by this author before? And if so, what have you read?
Nope.
No.
Really?
I haven't read anything by her either. And I saw like the 2 books at the back I didn't check Goodreads. I know that's bad of me, but I have not heard of any of these books before. So this was a new for me. Um, do you think you might check her out, like any of her backlists or any future books in the future, without giving like a total spoiler of what your rating is?
Yeah, if the synopsis called to me, I would pick her up again.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can get audiobooks, I would listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I have not read anything by this author, like I said before, but also I think if the synopsis sounds good, I would definitely check out or give her like another shot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can write a good synopsis, I'll give you a shot. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's see. Never heard of anything from this author before, but would totally read again. Awesome. Jules is here. She didn't get to the book. That's okay. Having read from her before from Gwen. I don't think I've heard of her. One of the titles sounds familiar. Okay.
What were the 2 titles?
The other 2 are called You Should Have Told Me, and then Keep Your Friends Close. I'm not gonna lie, they kind of look like YA thrillers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just kind of, I don't know. I may have seen them in the YA section, so. But sounds like everyone said the same thing. They're willing to give her another shot. That's awesome. All right, it's time for the dreaded question that I love to ask people. So everyone else, drop your 3 words. But if you had to describe this book only using 3 words, what words would you use?
I think I had thought about saying feminist, discombobulating, and eerie.
Ooh, I love that.
I took notes because I was like, I'm not gonna remember what
Right.
I was thinking, even though I finished today. I put like relationships, uneasy, and like twisty, even though I don't know if that's what I actually mean by twisty. But
Yeah, nice. I see Gwen put isolated, snowy, and surprising. My 3 words were fast because even though this book took me like 2.5 weeks to read because I had a big trip, I thought it was a fast read. I put questionable and woven because there were lots of things like woven in and out of there.
I like that.
Let's see. Writer battling addiction. Yawn. That's funny. Lena said eerie, isolation, and friendship. I agree. Okay, so would you say this book has more of a plot-driven or a character-driven plot?
Character.
yeah,
It was all about the characters.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like it started off as plot and then kind of turned more character towards middle to the end.
Yeah.
Maggie said atmospheric, eerie, and unreliable narrator. Like that.
I mean, I think that Carrie's section happened in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I was
Yeah.
realizing. I was like, she hasn't been drunk that long, actually. I thought she was like on bender. And then, oh, this only happened yesterday.
Yeah,
Unbalanced.
That's a lot to happen in
intriguing.
like a short time.
Yeah. I like thrillers that happen in such a short period of time, though. Like, there's, like, when we get to the recommendations, I do have one that has, like, a very similar setup like that.
Okay.
Imbalanced, intriguing, and disappointing. I also missed a whole thing that I was going to do. So before we jump into any more of the book, Yvette, would you like to tell us what The Last Room on the Left is all about for anyone who is joining and hasn't read it or finished it yet?
I was like, sweet, I don't have to do it.
No, you don't get away with it.
Yeah, so I would say that you kind of started off with the character Carrie, who is going to be a caretaker at a hotel or motel in the Catskills, so in New York. And she's going there to be like an off-season caretaker. So, you know, there's nobody who's supposed to be staying here there. It's just her taking care of the place while it's snowy and closed down. And she's going to go, she's taking a fresh start. She's going to write her book. We don't know exactly what the fresh start is at first. And then while she's there, she sees a body in the snow. The like power goes out, body in the snow. And then when she finally gets the police to see the body in the snow, the body's gone. And so, yeah, that's the. And then she goes and talks to like the neighbors, and there's some sort of dispute going on with them. So you're not sure, who's mad at who. You never hear from the actual owner. She's just MIA. Her email and her voice messages are full, so she can't be found. And then you slowly start to learn more about Carrie, that she's an alcoholic, that she's left her husband, and she's no longer talking to her best friend, Siobhan. And you don't know, what happened there or anything. And then you start hearing a little bit more. I think when we see the freezer is when that happens, actually. So finally, she's looking around a little bit more and goes to the freezer and sees that the body has been moved there. And she's like, it's Siobhan. And so you start hearing about Siobhan's point of view. So it becomes a dual POV from then on. You meet people like Jeremy, who's the next door, apparently BDSM man. And then there's Tyler, who's a younger gentleman who his mom is in the dispute over the landlines and everything, but he's still helpful and taking care of things and shows up. And then there's a young woman who you see randomly. You don't know about her. She's running around in the woods, kind of. And so those are the main characters. And you learn more about Siobhan, and she has a best friend named Allison who got her. She was actually the previous caretaker. You find out she was there, I think like a month before. And she, again, it was all about artistry. She was going to do a movie, and she was writing her screenwrite, and Allison comes out to even help her and everything. So the plot is between those kind of three women. And the other thing you have to know about Carrie is that, she's kind of thinking she's unreliable, because not just like, the problem with me is when they make alcoholism unreliable, when it's like, you don't hallucinate on alcohol. But she's saying like, well, I took some anxiety medication, so maybe that was part of it, because she did hallucinate that she thought she was going through IVF, and she thought she was pregnant, and then like looked back and at the pregnancy stick, and it was, what is it, 1 line instead of 2. And so from that one and only instance that she ever had a hallucination, she thinks she's hallucinating dead bodies. She thinks she's hallucinating everything else, maybe, and isn't sure about what's going on. So
yeah.
That's all.
I think my favorite part was like this random girl running around in the woods. I mean, but you're not wrong.
And the one random guy as well.
Oh yeah, there was a random guy for a very short. He just
one
like
time
stood there, looked at her, and then disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Also, what type of wine are you drinking, Yvette?
Oh, is Lena in there? Oh yes, there she is. I'm having Sauvignon Blanc tonight because it's getting really, really warm. One of my favorite is Oyster Bay, New Zealand.
Nice. Also, in case anyone else is curious, I've ever had my glass of wine, and Sam said that for dinner she had a margarita.
And then I clarified with dinner.
With dinner.
For dinner, margarita.
Some extra fun tonight is because it was girl dinner margarita.
I mean,
it's almost Cinco de Mayo.
It is. I mean, you're just pre-gaming right at that point.
I am.
All right. So, what was your first initial thoughts on the book? Like the first 20%, did it grab your attention? Was it something you had to get into? Like what were your thoughts?
I felt like it grabbed my attention just because it was pretty quick that it was like the power went out and she's like, and then red hand in the snow, and you're like, dun dun dun. So
Just
it
painted
was
my nails that color too. That's funny.
review.
Yeah. Good thing it's not snowing.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so I felt like it pretty quickly did that. And then they started filling in her backstory and everything.
Yeah. What about you, Sam?
Yeah. I agree. I really liked like the atmosphere of the hotel, and so much was happening. Also, like you just don't know what's going on. Like, is it paranormal? Is it like a murderer? Is it what's happening in the beginning? So I was really intrigued from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I do like that sometimes happens in thrillers is like what you read right here happens within like the first 20% or whatever, and it just takes off from there. Whereas like some thrillers are like, okay, but when are they going to find the body? It's been like 75%. Like isn't there supposed to be a body? Because the synopsis said there was a body. So I love that. Like what I signed up for was like all right there, and then it just took off from there. And I think I started this like the second Monday of April on reading sprints, and like I read like 30% in one sitting, and I was like,
yeah,
this is super fast. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was super fast. It caught my attention. I love isolated settings too, so like that's always going to grab my attention. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first part of the book. Let's see. So let's talk about the setting. So I was talking about like isolation settings. Did you enjoy it? Do you think the book like created like a good setting? Did it feel isolated enough, or did it lack? What were your thoughts on that?
You want to go first this time, Sam?
Yeah, I liked the setting, though I would get confused sometimes on like where everything was laid out because it seemed isolated, and then it was like, oh well, they're right there and they're right there and all of that. But then they said mountains and it's surrounded by woods, and then especially when they got to like Jeremy's house and it was all windows and you can see like surrounded by woods, and you kind of feel like in a glass box where everyone can see you, but you don't know what's out there. Then I started really understanding like the true vibes of the hotel and like or the motel and like knowing everything around it. Um it felt that way, but then the more characters that came, I'm like, how isolated is this place? And I'm not familiar, I guess, with because it's in New York, right?
Yep.
I don't know why I kept thinking it was a different state, like in my, and they're like New York, and I'm like,
yeah, Catskills is I think northern New York, so like way up there, so mountainous, kind of quiet. Yeah,
that was something that threw me off because I'm just not as familiar with that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was comparing it to lots of things too throughout the entire book. So when Jeremy's house was described, I was like, he's a Konen, because it was like
yes.
It was like a glass house in the woods. Like it was all, modern and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and like the angles weren't lining up. Yeah, like
well, he was close, but it was that's what I thought of right away.
Yeah. I can picture that now. I didn't make that connection, but like now I can't unsee it in my head now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw someone mention like a map would have been great. I also feel like that would have been cool as well, especially like
always
isolated, but like also not isolated in a way.
Well, and the property lines were such a big deal, right? And they kept talking about it, but I still was confused on how they were getting it mixed up.
I will say that like property lines in places that are not, cookie cutter, that is a big deal because depending on how far back you go, it could be that somebody like wrote it on the back of the napkin, I'll sell this to you. And so there's lots of disputes on property lines, especially with larger properties like that. So
my grandpa, the corner neighbor, because like his lot is, like you said, it's like an L shape. His neighbor actually built an in-ground pool on his property, like 8 feet in, and he never had it surveyed. So I know like that stuff happens, but I'm like, I'm trying to like picture it, but it's not really making sense when they talk about it. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's not that technical.
Especially
but it would have been
like her driveway was basically on their land, and I was like, so how is she supposed to get to her house otherwise? Like you're saying that like I don't know I don't know who creates the driveways and everything, but I don't think that's like normally the person who does that. I don't know, but
yeah,
it was just kind of crazy. Like I liked how Jeremy was just like, don't be if you're petty about it, then when you go to court, then they can be like, she did this to me, she was being not abusive, but she was being like
harassing.
Yeah, she was harassing me about it, and so you can get them back from that. So it's like, do it the right way.
Yeah. I also agree with Gwen. I was also picturing like Bates Motel.
Yeah.
I was just like without the big creepy house, or what I guess like in the woods there could be a creepy house, but like I was just picturing like off the side of the road, rundown motel.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this like Bates Motel in a way? So yeah, I totally caught that vibe. So it's giving like a little Hitchcock vibes. So
yeah. And then we kind of talked about it earlier, but I got a lot of The Shining vibes from it. Not really at the end or anything like that, but like when they were talking about the boiler room and when it was very snowy, isolated setting. She's a writer. She's kind of she starts maybe seeing things, so like all of those were giving me a lot. It was definitely more in the like first 40-50% that it made me feel that way, and then the rest I was like, no longer. You went outside of the Shining realm.
Yeah, I maybe like pull like setting inspiration.
Yes,
more
totally
get that. Okay, so what were your thoughts on the two like main characters, both Carrie and Siobhan?
Yeah, I wasn't really rooting for Carrie very much. Like,
why?
I just normally sometimes I can with somebody who's struggling with alcoholism or something, but like she just made it very difficult. And okay, so maybe plot hole for them or something, but you see the dead body. Your phone sure doesn't have internet connection. Take a photo. You don't need internet connection to take a photo. You're like, oh, it's not like it's not going to be there when you get back, obviously, because like just take a photo, go somewhere, and show it to them,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was getting a little annoyed by that, and then she just kept on leaving all of the alcohol around, and at any time she had to say anything, the alcohol was right next to her, so it was just kind of driving me nuts. I was like, take a step back, and if you're really gonna say that something's happening, like look at your surroundings,
Yeah.
But Siobhan, I like Siobhan. I liked hers. I liked her storyline. I liked hers with Allison. I thought it was terrible what she was going through with Charlie and everything, like having an ex that gives you something and then wants it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was more rooting for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggled with Carrie, but I figured, obviously when it's starting off with her point of view, it makes it more interesting because she's just chaotic and unhinged and she is not getting anything together or trying to help herself. And then you get Siobhan and you're like, oh, she's actually somewhat put together and she's just struggling in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it was nice too. And then even like with Allison, seeing like different artists that focus on different things and them all kind of sharing their struggles of
Mhm.
how, it's not as easy as it seems. And it definitely gave a differential like feeling that they're not all just the same. They're all very different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, Carrie, she got a lot of L's. And as it went on, you're like, wow, she did nothing for
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, going into the synopsis of the book, we knew we were reading about Carrie. And I was like, okay, like
Mhm.
unreliable,
Yep.
alcoholic, everything's falling apart, dead body. Okay, cool. And then like we get to Chiffon's, I was like, oh, another point of view,
Yeah.
another bombshell enters the villa. Like what?
Yeah.
So I was not expecting that, but like I did, like y'all said, I kind of liked her perspective more and like rooted for her the most. So yeah, so I agree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When we found out that she was dead, I was kind of like, maybe she's not. Like, I kept on hoping she wasn't, just because you enjoy reading from her perspective. So that was good.
Mhm. Okay, it was too early for her to be dead.
Yeah.
But I did like even, like, getting her point of view where even though she was so forgiving and caring about these people, like, she also still had a side to her that was darker, like,
Yeah,
everyone has their limits, right? And you could tell she was getting close to hers when she thought it was Allison.
yeah,
Yeah.
She thought she'd been betrayed by another friend, and
yeah,
just
And that's
someone
where,
that was holding on to relationships, and everyone is just she has Charlie and Carrie and all these people cutting her off and doing awful things to her, and then when it comes to Allison, she's just like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
yeah,
yeah. And it like hurt when Charlie said, "You can't be alone." It was just like,
Mhm.
and she was trying to do that, and that's why she went to the hotel. She was just trying to be alone for a little bit and
yeah,
not like rely on anybody. And I just thought that was so hurtful to be like, well, why should you need to be alone though? If you have the right people in your lives, you shouldn't need to be alone.
yeah. It's kind of sad that it's almost like the opposite of what you needed in a way.
Yeah.
If you have the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, if you have those supportive people, like there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with needing people.
Mhm. I thought I had a sneeze. Okay, so a fun question. If you had to retitle the book, what would you retitle it to?
I didn't write it down. Oh no. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, so I wrote it down, but I hate what I came up with because I just finished today, but regardless, if I would've had 2 weeks, I probably wouldn't have come up with anything more clever. I just said the Twilight Motel because
Mm,
I don't really understand the title of this. Like, the
yeah.
last room on the left, they were room hopping and stuff was happening all over and,
In every
like
room.
and the dead body was outside and in the freezer, so I'm like, what's with the last room on the left? Because that really has nothing to do with it. But I
Yeah.
was trying to come up with like something with like created creativity, isolation, or something chaotic like that. And my brain was just that. I was like, I don't know. Twilight Motel, I'm pretty sure is something similar and wasn't good enough for me. I wanted the motel also to have a different name anyways. I thought
Yeah.
it could have been a little bit more creative, but
I
that
I was
wasn't a
agree.
very
thinking
good
like
answer.
mine was something like, I forget, it was something like three women, one dead or something like that. It was just like you don't know who it is, and it was kind of, I felt like the book was very female driven. That's why I kind of said like not
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
feminine,
That's a
but
good idea.
kind of like that it's these females that are driving the plot, that are the biggest stars. So that's what I was kind of thinking, something like along those lines.
Yeah. I thought I didn't have like an official title, but I thought of something like checked out, like you're checking out of the
Uh-huh.
hotel or motel. And then I thought like what lies outside the motel or something like, because
Mhm.
obviously there's a dead body. So
Red nails in the snow.
red nails in the snow. Yeah, something like that. But I thought like checked out would have been cool. But like even like what you said, Sam, like even like a cooler name of the
Name of the
hotel motel would have been cool. Like
Yeah, just because it was so much about like the relationships. It was about them being like artists and discovering themselves and getting a way to get inspired and to focus. And it's like, okay, I want the title to have something that kind of portrays that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, they're just room hopping.
Yeah.
Or hanging out outside. So
Yeah.
That's when she first went into the room and found like all the stuff there. I'm like, oh, this is the room on the left. And then I'm like, wait. Then they find Mackenzie in another room. And
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, Allison slept in another room. And I'm like,
Yep.
what's the room on the left?
I know.
The one with the freezer? I'm the office? I'm so confused.
kind of sounded like there was no official title, and they're like, okay, it's done. We have to title this something. Like, so like let's think of something catchy.
You had one sentence. We'll just put that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's titled The Last Room on the Left, but like what draws you in is there's a dead body outside the hotel.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. But yeah. Also Twilight, and then also like the Cullen house reference.
Yeah.
It was just meant to be.
Yeah.
So I found this question online, but it says, what role does the past play in shaping the characters' present lives?
So I kind of was saying that, like, from the standpoint of present is where they are in the motels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything built up to it because, like you said, woven. It was all about the characters having known each other in the past and what they've done, how they built their relationships together, but also, mistakes that they've made personally, like Alice, or not Allison, like Carrie, just taking on drinking and, prioritizing that versus her IVF. And then or Siobhan, always wanting to rely on people but not being able to because she's had somebody like Charlie in her life, and then Carrie being an alcoholic, and then Allison talking. You don't get as much about Allison, but like she talks about being an actress and like already being considered for like mother roles at 36, and just like she's already considered over and stuff like that. So everything leading up to that point creates them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And like you hear when they're at the motel, like why they're trying to do it and what they're really focusing on, but the flashbacks really build up to how necessary it felt to them to have to go and do this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of felt like they were on their last straw, and this was the last thing to kind of pull them out of, their grave where they're just
what
feel
they're
like a
going
sinking
through.
ship.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like everything that happens like now is going to affect the future, even though like it's kind of the reverse way. Like it makes sense in my head. Like the present timeline was there because of everything that happened in the past. You know what I mean? So it made sense in my head. Hopefully that came across as like intellectual and stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, I thought this was a fun question. I think Lena sent this in on Discord. If you were given the opportunity to spend time away at a remote hotel, motel during the winter to work on your book or any other hobby project that you have going on, would you have taken it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
See, I would be so hesitant. It would really depend on the area because I watch too many like
murdered. Is what you're saying.
What?
It depends on if there's a murder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watch like American Horror Story, like Hotel and stuff like that. So even like a hotel, motel, I say no, but I've literally stayed at this random motel in Wisconsin, which was actually really cute and nice. So you never know. But by myself, knowing that there's not going to be, or there's not supposed to be anybody around, I don't know. That kind of freaks me out.
You can make it a rom-com. It doesn't have to be a thriller. There's a lumberjack down the way.
Yeah, it could turn into a romance.
It could be a romance. I'm gonna go do art. He's gonna see my art and be inspired.
I think maybe if it was a cabin, I don't know for whatever reason why, because I've
cabin screams axe murderer in the woods to me.
I grew up in not grew up, but I'm from rural Michigan. Mm-hmm. On my family's vacation, we went to the Upper Peninsula where we were literally the last road with power, and we stayed at our cabin up there. So like, I'm like, oh, a cabin's fine.
Yeah, I do either.
Not as scary. But I don't, even though the motel was supposed to be like empty, just the fact that there's empty rooms and I don't know, like that just gives me like creepy vibes automatically. Yeah. Not a hot lumberjack, in the room next to me, possibly.
Lena said there's neighbors with whips and chains. What could go wrong?
It was Jeremy Cullen, so.
Oh my gosh. I would to spend time away, get paid for it, write a book or read a book. Like if I could take all my books with me and just,
why not?
Yeah. Now I think a hotel where it's like a big grand building and you're the only one there. No.
No, it's too much work.
Yeah. There's too many rooms.
Also that it's like in the winter though. Like if it was in the summer, I would be outside, I would paint, I would do stuff like that. Sold instantly. In the winter, you're pretty much stuck there.
I know, like how cozy would that be though?
Cozy.
And then you've got kinky neighbors, like
to heat things up.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh. That was a great question, Lena. Thanks for submitting that.
Yes.
Okay, so before we get into the details of the twists and the reveals, I think it would be fun to go over theories that you had while reading the book. Or did you think a different twist would have been better? Like, what did y'all think during the whole thing?
I had that. So I had a couple theories, but like at one point when Siobhan shows up again, like right after she like shows up at the door and she's like, oh, she's back from the dead. I thought it was going to take a more morbid line and that Carrie was actually hallucinating and that she was actually bathing and washing Siobhan's corpse. And that like at one point she would realize that the whole time she was dead. And she was like,
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah. So that's what I thought was happening was like, oh, maybe she's actually still dead, but she's like, her brain has gone and she's like, wants her to be alive so much. And that's more like a Bates kind of situation, I think.
Yeah.
Bates Hotel. So that was like one thing that like popped into my head at one point. And then the other one was with whatever the lady's name was that was doing the hotel.
Macy?
Maisie, the owner of the hotel, she had all those like dossiers on people who were looking to take care of the hotel. So I was thinking this whole thing was I thought every single person who was a caretaker maybe had died there. And that like it was a whole like hunting situation where like she gets the people in, she looks them up, she finds the right person, and then she lets the Hicks go hunt them down and kill them. So those were my two.
I like that.
Yeah. So I thought both ladies would be dead by then. So Siobhan died and that Carrie or maybe Siobhan or Carrie would have survived because you have to have the final girl, but like that's what I thought. I thought it was supposed to be Carrie was being hunted too to be killed.
Yeah, I thought the owner of the motel was going to have some bigger part later on. Or I know like they said that, was it one of them met with her to sign the contract? Was it Siobhan?
I don't remember.
Met with Macy. I thought it said, because for a long time, then I was like, wait, it can't. I thought Allison was Macy and like setting all of this stuff up for that. So then I don't know. I just thought it was gonna, like, come back around to something with her.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, what I would change, I kinda wanted the crazy Tyler's mom, Denise. I thought also she was going to come back and do something a little bit more because she
Yeah.
was so unhinged in the beginning, and I'm like, "Ooh, she's crazy." Like, bring her back in. So, I thought she was gonna do, like, even worse stuff and, like, more harassment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I wanted just a little bit more of that at the
And
end.
more.
So I remember this. I mean, this movie is super. I wouldn't say super old because I'm older than the movie, so maybe not super old, but like early 2000s. There was a thriller, and I don't want to say what it is because it's definitely kind of like a plot twist. But it takes place at a motel, and there's different people, and like the twist is that one of them has like multiple personality disorders. So I was thinking like Carrie is like envisioning all these
Mhm.
people or acting as if one. So I was like, maybe it's one of those situations. Because like in this movie, this person was like there was a murder, there was a serial killer out there killing everyone at the motel, but it was actually one of the personalities killing the other personality. So I was like, ooh, maybe that might have been it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Well,
great
especially
movie.
because Carrie kept hearing Frank in her head, and
Yeah,
I
I was
thought
also
that
like,
was
maybe,
really interesting.
yeah. So I was like, maybe one of her personalities is Carrie, and then the other one is Frank. So I was like, I don't know. That was just my theory, but that was sadly not it, which is great because that would have been copying the movie, but
Yeah.
it would have
So
been really good.
you talked about Frank. Did that give everybody New Moon vibes? Because I was on the Twilight train apparently, but like they had this like glass house in the woods with a creepy dude, and then Frank was talking in her mind, and I was like, they're just he's always
So
protecting her, trying to
you
keep her
were
safe.
you were theorizing vampires and werewolves, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate that for you in your journey
Yeah.
of reading this book.
I was like, what is going on? This is just Twilight.
That's hilarious. Okay, well, Sam, do you want to explain what happened, what the twist was, the whole shebang?
Well, after we find out that Siobhan is alive, uh, we find out so much more, about what happened, with her relationship and Charlie, and that there was a crazy party with her and Allison, which we knew, but we got more insight on. We found out that she was hooking up with Jeremy, and, but she was still into Charlie. Ick. Um, we find out that, it was actually Carrie, not Allison, who slept with Charlie, on Charlie's birthday, and eventually, Carrie was able to find out that it was Allison in the freezer, but, Tyler had done it, and we find out why Tyler got mad at Allison, and then when Carrie was trying to confront Tyler, conveniently, his uncle of a cop was like, "Yeah, just stop talking. Don't give away all the details." And Tyler's crying and getting emotional because, men's egos are fragile. And and so then, yeah, right when, what was his name? Billy? The officer
Mhm.
and Tyler are going after Carrie to kill her, shows up and they're able to, like, get out, and then the female officer comes.
Mhm.
Officer Madison was able to show up, and then we skip forward to a few years later, we find out that Siobhan is able to make a super successful movie in honor of Allison and, like, her life and their trip up there, and it's kind of sounds like a documentary-ish, um, and because they talked about, like, potentially doing the trial of Tyler and everything like that. We find out that Carrie is back with Frank, and even though her and Siobhan aren't really, like, friends again. They're at least at this movie premiere together. And there should be the title of the romantic codes are fragile. I love that.
Been a good one.
But then we find out ultimately that when Tyler pushed Allison, or when they were outside, that she wasn't actually dead. And she was struggling for survival, but she had confronted Jeremy earlier, and he did not like that, so he walked away and let her freeze to death.
Yeah.
Boom.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It was a lot, but like spread out at the same time.
Yeah.
I felt like Tyler kills Allison because first of all they like sleep together, and he's like,
oh yeah, they sleep together.
He's 23 and she's 46 or something like that, or not 46, 36. But like, go women, you can do that. But like,
oh. I completely forgot about Mackenzie, and then you have the random girl, Mackenzie.
Just
running
around, who is daughters to the previous owner, who they're super strict and like maybe abusive, but not as abusive as Tyler's dad. But he is a good guy.
Tyler's dad. What about Jeremy? Jeremy was sleeping with Mackenzie.
Yeah, and he was sleeping with Mackenzie.
He was BDSMing all the women. He's 18. You know.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What I thought was like weird was the whole like Tyler killing her because he writes like a playwright or whatever, and he has it in his pocket. He's like, read this. And then she starts laughing at him. I swear it's in another book or movie because he keeps on saying, like, stop laughing at me, stop laughing.
That's what I thought. Like,
it's something that the person, he's like, she just wouldn't stop laughing at me. And so I hit her. And like, that is in something. And I was like, what is that from? Because for sure that's from something.
Do y'all know what it is?
No.
I don't want to ruin it in case anyone wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure it was a past Sleeping on Dead book club pick.
Oh, okay. Either that or I thought it was a movie. Like I thought
it was a movie
sure
too.
Happened.
I think I've seen it too.
Women laughing at men equal death to the women. So
well, that was the one quote that I was like, "Yup," where it was, "Men fear women laughing at them. Women fear men killing them."
Yes.
Yeah.
That was actually the best quote in the entire movie or book.
Agreed.
But I don't know if that was the author's quote. Like, I don't know if that's just like a common saying. But
yeah, definitely.
I agree.
You'll have to let us know which one it was, Jesse, because it was definitely something. I was just like, I feel like this has been in stuff before, and so he just kills her because he wrote a little stupid book and he wants it in the New Yorker, and he's like, it's gonna be amazing, and he's never had an editor in his life. So.
Yeah, that's where I also feel like it's has to do with him being like a fan of hers too, like a secret fan, and like following along. And it's kind of like when people say don't meet your idols, but like he was like he created this version of himself in his head, and so when Allison has to meet with him, she's just like, has to be just so done with everything at that point in time. And the confidence of men is crazy.
So what did y'all think of the whole reveal itself? Like, shocking, not shocking, amazed, disappointed?
Super anticlimactic, because I like from the beginning, the first character you meet is Tyler, and I was like, this is it, it's him. And it was him. And I was like, oh, all right. I kept on hoping I kept on coming up with scenarios, but like as soon as he was introduced, I was like, this guy's too like happy-go-lucky. He's the killer. And then he was. And I was like, okay. So, and then of course his uncle being a part of it, I was like, yeah, that fits, Yeah,
that tracks.
Always the bad cop.
The only thing that was kind of surprising was Jeremy finding her in the snow before she's dead. And just like walking away from her and letting her die in the cold. Like that was the only, I was like, ooh, okay. yeah, that was the only surprise. And then the surprise was Frank taking Carrie back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not much.
That, and he was going to save her too. It's like,
I know
dang, this
that he went
man.
all the way there. Well,
He was holding on to something.
Yeah. What did
He
you
probably
think about everything, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly started this weekend, so when I go into thrillers, I just try not to overthink it, and since I was kind of like it didn't feel like I was rushing because it was so fast-paced to me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't overthinking too much, but I had the same idea, like, Tyler was just so nice and accommodating
yeah.
that I knew something was gonna happen with him, but I liked how we got the backstories of everyone, and we felt, like, the jealousy of, Siobhan with Allison, and you're like, "Okay, it couldn't have been her killing Allison because it was too early in the book," but I like how it constantly kept us, like, questioning, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, no one here is, like, super awesome except Tyler, and it's like, yeah, that's gonna play out
Yeah.
differently, but
Yeah.
I also
I
felt, I think the name Allison just maybe put me this way. It was also kind of reminding me of Pretty Little Liars.
that's
Yeah.
what I thought. That's what I thought.
I also thought that too. That's wow.
Yeah.
So I was not shocked, but I also wasn't like too disappointed in the reveal. I also thought it was Tyler just because like his personality just didn't fit with everyone else's personality. It just kind of stood out. But also like what Sam was saying, like not trying to like overthink or just kind of go with it. I feel like this one was kind of hard because I just feel like I've seen stories like this before. So I'm like, oh, are they going to do it the same or are they going to make it different? Like, how are they making like, oh, this is like The Shining in a way. So like, is someone going crazy? Is it paranormal? Yeah. So like, to me, it's kind of hard to like cut that part off in my brain.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I totally agree with everything y'all both said. Like, yeah.
I liked that Allison, though, in this case, like, I thought that she was being a little manipulative at points, like when they were doing the party and everything, but it turns out she's really on Siobhan's side the whole time.
Yeah.
So I did like that instead. And then I also thought, I think it was trying to be a little bit of a red herring, was that Siobhan was writing Playwright and she was talking about making it into like female characters going there, and like there's a killer on the loose, but you find out it's one of the women. So I thought that was kind of like put in there to kind of be like, you have these 3 women and there's a killer on the loose. Maybe it's one of the women. I thought it was gonna like be reflective of her Playwright maybe, but again, it wasn't.
Well, and as well as with Carrie, like she was talking about, she had this idea of a book where the house that that this couple moves into is infected, and then the woman starts getting infected from it. I was like, I love this idea, and I didn't know. I thought there was going to be so much more paranormal to it, especially when she found the sketches, and the sketches looked like her. Like that was really eerie. Yeah. And so I liked how like eerie that was. You're like, is this paranormal? Like, how is this working? Is she really tripping out? Is the hotel, infected and infecting her?
You don't know at that point Siobhan was the previous caretaker. You just see sketches and you're thinking, who did this?
Yeah. So
I think Yvette had mentioned this. Do you think Frank should have taken Carrie back? And what about Siobhan forgiving Carrie?
I'm not very forgiving, so especially when there's cheating involved. Yeah. I can be forgiving if it's something like somebody who's alcoholic and turns their life around over time and stuff like that. That like there's always grace that you can forgive that. But cheating is where I'm like hard no, especially because she's just like her reasoning for cheating being that she's saving people from herself and from Charlie. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's other ways you could have done this. So that was really difficult to be like, yeah. And the fact that it didn't seem like much time had gone past and he was willing to forgive her.
Yeah.
It was like maybe over time things can heal, but it was just like he saved her and then she moved back in. I was like, okay. I guess like death can make people do things too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably as Frank would not have forgiven her. I don't know why, but like Siobhan forgiving her feels a little bit easier to do for some reason, just because Charlie was a deadbeat and that was her way of getting rid of him. But still, even then, I have a hard time.
Yeah. And maybe like with the whole Frank thing, maybe if we had like some time to see them kind of reconcile versus like, oh, riding off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Well,
another baby.
And so much was just like they surrounded around her, you know, alcoholism and like her struggles with IVF. But it's like that's just because you're sober doesn't mean everything's magically better. But they did say, I mean, she was going to therapy and they were going to couples therapy.
Yeah, at least the couples therapy was good.
Yeah, to me, her reasoning behind cheating, I think that made me even more upset.
There's so many other ways, and this was the dumbest of all.
Even if you would have just said that she, you know, got so drunk and she just, you know, lost control and wasn't thinking about it. But for her to intentionally do it, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
You lost brownie points there.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, when Siobhan like shows up and she takes care of her and stuff, I'm like, as a friend, really, what is Carrie doing for that friendship?
Yeah, and her being like, I've always wanted to nurture and take care and blah blah, and like, you can't. You're an alcoholic. You need to first take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. I don't know. Yeah, I had a hard time with that. Like, I know they wanted to make it happy-go-lucky in the epilogue, and it was too much.
Yeah. It was a bit much especially for a thriller.
I'm willing to forgive people, but it has to be more than just that, especially when it's that destructive.
Yeah. Agreed.
I thought
we don't even.
Go ahead.
Do we know how long that Carrie and Siobhan were friends for? Because it didn't seem like super long.
Yeah. Were they college? I don't know.
I don't remember. I mean, I kind of got the impression that, I wouldn't say like childhood, but like
they were longer.
Friends. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should probably keep better notes.
I don't feel like it was really said. I
feel like it was in the very beginning, but now I don't remember if that was Allison and Siobhan or.
I felt like they just kept on saying, my best friend. Like, they didn't really be like, was this your best friend from like a year ago? Or like your childhood best friend?
True.
Well, and especially because Carrie had blocked her, and it had been some time since she blocked her, and it's like, okay.
I think it was only 3 months that she blocked her.
Yeah. Maybe. I think that sounds about right, too.
3 months seems like a long time, depending on how long the friendship is, you know?
Yeah.
Agreed.
I feel like they said, but now I don't remember.
Yeah, I was thinking college, but I can't remember.
Could be it. I thought this was interesting. I saw someone else comment this. Did you, like, were there any plot holes or maybe like some unanswered things that happened in the story that you, like for me, how did Siobhan pass out for 2 days in the boiler room and why?
And how did she get there?
And why did she scraped knees and pussy knees and blah, blah, blah.
Ew, I hate that word. Ew.
Well, they were like saying how they had to, it was all leaky and stuff. So is that better?
Yeah, because with Allison,
bit.
all we like they made it really specific that Siobhan was passed out in her room. So like,
Yeah.
how did she get there? And was just there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the only thing I could not figure out. And then obviously I didn't think of it that hard, but like the property line dispute, yeah. Like
Yeah, that's why I wrote. I was like, what happened with that?
Yeah.
They gave
maybe I was gonna say maybe it was paranormal and a ghost picked her up and put her in the boiler room. I don't know.
She just randomly was there, all beat up, not just whips on her back, but bad knees.
For 2 whole days.
Oh,
2 whole days.
I will say one thing that irritated the crap out of me was how much Carrie fell. I was like, just crawl at this point. Come on.
At the end? Yeah.
Yeah, but like she was constantly tripping and falling.
She
It's like,
fell at one
can
point,
you
and then
walk?
It's
another
giving
time, it was a
horror
rope.
movie main character vibes because you know they fall over everything. That's
Or
funny.
she's Bella Swan. I'm just saying.
So is this fan fiction of Twilight, but like Bates Motel version?
Way different type.
Let's see. Maddie says she thinks Jeremy did it because he went back. Maybe I should get Gwen to write another email to the author and be like, I need answers because she did that for January.
That was awesome.
And the author wrote back and she's like, this is what I think happened.
But Jeremy went back and just like saw Allison. You think he just like rubbed her knees against the gravel and chucked her into a boiler room?
Well, I could see because like he comes to this party thinking that he's going to spend more time with her, and then her ex is there and they're all over each other.
Yeah, that was
that was
a stupid move too. She's just like, I want to invite Charlie for closure. I'm like, don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Don't lie.
And, yeah, and especially because like you knew she wanted to stir up trouble, and I could just see him being over it.
Yeah.
But I needed more like detail of that actually happening.
Yeah, like what happened to her? Disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, the property lines, where Maisie was, that she was not available at all, ever.
Yeah.
She wasn't there. She wasn't available for Siobhan. She wasn't available. She was actually available for Carrie the first time she called and was just like, don't worry about it. Like, she won't do it again or something. I don't know. Yes. Yes. I mean, I guess there was some snow. Like, so
I mean, snow hurts.
Yes. Snow hurt depending if it's like fresh snow and stuff. So at least it gave a little cushion, but yeah, still 10 feet. 10 feet.
It made me happy though that he caught her running and leaving, because I was like, how is he not? It's a house of glass. How is he not going to see you running out the window?
Yeah.
So I was happy where he's like, where are you going? Like, come back. That made me happy because I was like, how would he not see you? How did you think this was a good plan? Why would you make an excuse and try to get back out at least? But I don't know. She was paranoid.
And when they saw the running girl in the woods, Mackenzie, yeah, when they saw her, when Siobhan saw her through the window, I thought that was really interesting. Like, Jeremy went outside and was like looking for her, and I was like, is he gonna kill her outside? I don't know. That's or not Jeremy, Tyler. I have boring names. Tyler was outside doing the flashlight and everything. They're like, yeah, we saw it the whole time. I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah. So before we get into our final star rating, everyone in the chat, if you want to put your star rating, if you haven't already, do you have any book recommendations based on whether people liked this book or did not like this book? What do you got?
I feel Mine are really dumb. I was just naming all the things it was reminding me of. I was like, Pretty Little Liars, New Moon. But the one, if you really want something kind of similar, is The Woman on the Train, where she's like a very unreliable narrator going through alcoholism and everything. So
yeah, with that kind of theme, I was thinking The Woman in Cabin 10.
Okay.
And then, like, based off of the cover, another Ruth Ware, The Turn of the Key.
Ooh, the cover.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one. Okay.
And then I haven't read the book. I think it's based on a book, but I've only seen the movie with Johnny Depp. Is it The Secret Window?
I love that movie so much.
Same.
It's one of my favorites by him.
Jesse was talking about something earlier, and I was like, "Oh, Secret Window."
I love Secret Window.
Yeah, because his character is an alcoholic too, and a writer, right? And he's like in a secluded somewhat area and all that. Yeah.
It's actually a short story by Stephen King. I forgot which.
I thought it was like.
I don't think I own it. I think it's like Needful Things. It's either that. I've read it. I have like so many Stephen Kings, but like I don't have any of the short stories, which is a crime in this house, but that's okay. But yeah, such a good one. I actually came up with 5 recommendations, I believe. So I think the first one's kind of obvious. It's The Shining by Stephen King. So this one is definitely
the vibes.
Going to lean more towards the horror paranormal aspect. So it even mentions it in the book, like Jack Torrance from The Shining. So yeah. So isolated, stuck in a hotel over the winter, people going crazy. So I also said isolated setting in like a short time period is going to be No Exit by Taylor Adams. It's one of my favorites. So I recommend this one. It's more action-y, but it's still a really good one. Another one is going to be The Overnight Guest by Heather Gutenkoff. This has like an isolated setting, but also like has like a past timeline. Also, this person's trying to like write their book during a snowstorm, which good for them. I also said The Sundown Motel, which I believe Lena had suggested as well. And then I also put Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden. If you like Bates Motel, that is going to be your book.
Okay.
So, and it's a popcorn thriller. Let's see. Gwen mentioned isolated setting with alcohol is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I agree with that. It's my favorite low-rated Riley Sager book. So, just wasn't for me, but I know people love that book. The Sundown Motel earlier suggested. So yeah, those are good ones. So what is everyone's final star rating?
Mine was a 3.
Are you sure? You sound unsure about that.
It was a 3, probably on like, now that I have Fable, I'll probably put it as like 2.75 or something like that. But like 3.
Yeah.
There was just so like too many unanswered, and then I don't normally come up with good ideas. The fact that I was like, I came up with some and I was like, way better. Like that to me makes it a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I still, like I said, still would read from the author. Still like enjoyed the ride. Just didn't enjoy the end.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I'm at like a 3.75.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I read this in like 2 days, and I was pretty much almost 2 days. Like I really read a majority yesterday of it, and there wasn't a point where I really got annoyed. And that's just how I take thrillers, because I can get really nitpicky, and then it's like, what's the point? Most thrillers I don't reread because
you know that.
Yeah, once you know the ending, it's over for me. So obviously, I don't think I'll ever reread it. But I'm like, I would have
But will you
preferred something
remember
different,
it?
but I didn't hate it. But
Will you remember it though? Do you remember how
uh,
Tyler killed her?
I mean, there's some parts I do think I'll think of it, and like that line, like I said,
That
women
was a
or
good one.
men fear women laughing at them. Like I think that will stick with me, and
That was
like
good.
I guess to me, it felt like realistic, of like how
Yeah,
stupid it is that certain men kill women over things, and then
so
how they
true.
don't care. Where women will still keep friendships and relationships and go like leaps and bounds for
Yeah,
each other. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
that's a
I'll
good point.
probably still think about parts of it. I'll
When she
probably think
goes,
about Allison being dead and Jeremy going by and like,
eh.
red fingernails in the snow.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is the next time you go to that motel in Wisconsin, you'd be like, "Ooh, the last room on the left."
Yep, exactly.
I am also giving this a 3 star. I think it's a solid 3 star. I don't think it's anything special besides like the nitpicky things that we can kind of poke fun at. Um, I think this is one that I would recommend if you're looking for something specific, like unreliable narrator, isolated setting, Bates Motel, somehow far off in the distance, Twilight. So I don't know.
like
Um,
fanfics. Let's just be
yeah, Twilight fan fiction. I got you. I got a good recommendation for you. But yeah, like I could see me recommending it for that, but like I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, this is an all-time favorite. So,
Mhm.
but like I liked it. It was fine. So, and it was a fast read, which I enjoyed.
yes,
So,
very.
but yeah, those are all the questions I have. Thank you guys so much for co-hosting with me for the first time. It's so great. Hopefully, I can convince y'all to come back maybe in the future. But yeah, everyone, I have Yvette's Instagram and I have Sam's YouTube channel. Make sure you go subscribe, follow, share the love, all that jazz. Next month, we are going to be reading Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. And I'm going to have Jordan from Storybook Solid as well as Jan from Jen Agaton on. If you don't know what this book is about, it's basically about a woman who finds out that her husband is in a hostage situation, but he's not the hostage, he's the gunman. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. So I've heard some pretty good things about this one, so I'm looking forward to it. The discussion will be not what this Google document says. It is going to be Monday, May. It's the last Monday of May, like every other discussion I do. The 26th. So pick up a copy, join the Discord, and yeah. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Everyone in the chat, thanks for chatting away. But I'll end the stream and we'll see you guys all in the next one.